What's going on, guys? Joey Franzo here with Sean Noriega. Go ahead and say hi, Sean.
What's going on? It's the Flex boys.
What's going on, everyone? So I told you guys I was going to be starting a podcast. This is going to be the first episode. Already had a shit ton of technical difficulties, but my main aim with this whole thing is to be somewhat entertaining, just perhaps a little behind the scenes action, talk to some cool people and let you guys know what's going on, but more so I want to show that we're not just people that post on Instagram or lifters. We're human beings. We have personalities. We're relatable, and so what I wanted to talk about, just kind of, we're gonna lead up to everything that happened at Worlds, like specifically like how you did, and then what happened at the end. But I wanted to ask you, like, what was it like traveling to a foreign country? What was the plane ride like? Were you nervous? Were you really destroyed? Do you feel like traveling all the way over there messed you up? Were you scared at all? Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the travel was a big variable for a lot of people, but maybe not in the way that people think. I think a lot of people were using it as kind of an excuse, like, oh, the travel makes a big difference, and it does, but I think the reasons might be a little bit more subtle and might, there are ways to work around having your travel affect you negatively. So for me, I was flying there 3 days out. I didn't have the time or the money to be there for a week, so I had to get there 3 days out. I competed on a Monday, and I got there on a Friday. And I was water loading throughout that whole process. So like the plane, I was lucky enough to be sitting near a bathroom. I had to drink like 3.5 gallons that whole day, so I was getting up constantly to pee. So I didn't really get a good chance to sleep on the plane. By the time I got to Belarus, one thing that tripped me up a little bit was not only like water retention after getting off the flight, but then trying to time when I should be starting my day's worth of water. So I took like a little bit of a break from drinking water when I had gotten there to let the time change adjust.
Yep.
And then I got back to it after like the 7-hour time difference or 6-hour time difference I caught up. But one of the things that kind of tripped me up with travel, and I think a lot of people probably experience this too, which is probably a reason a lot of people weighed in really light, was that after you get off that flight, the next day you're going to be retaining a lot of the water that you were drinking throughout the flight and before the flight. And for me, that psyched me out a little bit for sure, because I expected to be lighter 2 days out than I ended up being, and that led me to eat a lot less 2 days out than I should have. And what ended up happening is, the combination of eating less and then just your body naturally getting rid of the water after your, period of water retention was over. The next day I woke up underweight already a day early, and that kind of fucked me up because, I didn't want to eat so much that day. I stuck to my, lightweight foods that I was eating, but that wasn't enough. And then the night before, I ended up being like 180.5 pounds, which is just way too light. Tried to like eat that weight back throughout the night just because I was so hungry and so thirsty. But obviously that food's not going to affect you. It's more so the food leading up to it. So yeah, I think so many people weighed in light probably because of factors like that, where they were heavier, closer to the meat than they would have liked to be. My body felt okay, but I was just so tired in the 2 days that I was really there before having to compete. I could not adjust to the sleep schedule, especially since
it's really off.
It's off, and it's the sun is out in Belarus more than it's not. Like the sun goes down at like midnight and comes up at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, just in general, I am like, this is my room. Like you can't see them right here, but there's like brown curtains covering the fucking, it's covering my window, right? And like my entire windows, like we put tinfoil on it because it's 112 degrees for some reason, and I sleep really well with no light. But like even a little bit of light, like I could be with Tina, the light could be on, she'll fucking knock out. She just like instantly fall asleep. I don't know how she does it. It's crazy. Like on a plane, doesn't matter where we are. For me, I need like specific.
I need darkness.
I need darkness. It has to be quiet. I can't not ever sleep on a plane. You know, and I can imagine like if I even when we travel, if my hotel room is not quiet or dark, like fucking dark, like I will take like a little like Tina's little bobby pin things and make sure that the blinds are like all pinned up. You know what I mean? Like I can't have any light. I can't have any light in there. Seriously. But so I can totally understand. It seems to be like a very individual thing. Like some people, they could just fall asleep whenever and it doesn't bother them. But I get what you're saying there, and I would be pretty frustrated. You know, I know that like a day of no sleep is you probably get by. I don't think it's gonna mess you up that much, but
it was more like 3 days of like not great sleep, and I think the key, which is just like not very realistic for a lot of people, is like getting there more like 5 days in advance.
Yeah, because
the team recommends for you to get there at least 3 days in advance, which I still don't think was enough. Between, you know, trying to switch over the sleep schedule, and then your water retention, and then, you know, specifically with Belarus, like nobody in Belarus fucking speaks English, and if you wanted to have access to food, you were pretty much screwed. Like nothing, no signs were in English. They didn't have like typical food. Most of their food labels didn't even have calories or like macro listings on them.
Bruh.
Shit show. So they also didn't sell gallons of water. Like you had to buy.
Oh
like,
man.
And then like in some places they had like giant jugs like of like 3 gallons worth.
That was a big concern of mine with you going over there. I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to just jump off the plane and like go to a convenience store and just get everything that you need, or if you had to travel, or so that's definitely something to consider, and definitely something that if you haven't gone through it before, which most people haven't, it can definitely throw you off. I remember I had a lift to go to Australia that we both know, that you're probably gonna know who I'm talking about when I get through it. But basically, when he got there, he was freaking the fuck out because
flight number 1602.
Yeah, 1602. His like all the plugs are different, so he couldn't plug his phone into charge.
And everything.
Yeah, dude, and like he was fucking freaking out. And it just makes international travel, especially all the way on the other side of the planet, very like not ideal, and you would need a very large incentive to do something like that. And everybody does say, I want to touch on this, because we're fucking on the topic, but people just say, all right, I'm traveling internationally, like I'm gonna have a bad meet, fuck it, like, oh, and no matter what you say, they just keep saying like, oh well, I travel. Okay, so if that's the case, then automatically everyone that's traveling is gonna lose. Like you're automatically gonna do shit. So like,
there were plenty of people who traveled who had bad meets, but there were a lot of people who traveled who had great meets.
Exactly.
Like,
so
it's not like every weight class was won by someone.
If
Eastern Europe, look at Dennis Cornelius. Dennis had to
fucking killed everyone.
Flew from the U.S. and like PR'd pretty much every lift except like bench.
I do think that the big guys are a little bit less affected, just because they're eating so much anyway, and they have a lot of stored energy.
He was like 270.
It's
running like 40s a week out.
Oh my god.
That 3 cone drills getting ready for the combine.
Yeah, that's a little excessive, but if you're a super heavyweight, you could just eat through everything. Like the travel, the sleep, the everything, you just fucking eat through it, and you just cancel everything out. And if you're like way below your weight class, but then you're kind of sacrificing your Wilks. So you get to Belarus, and you're there, and you're in this foreign fucking place. What's the vibe like? Like,
Dude, honestly,
can you
like,
compare it to anywhere you've been before, or?
no, I've never been anywhere in Eastern Europe before, so it was definitely not comparable. Like, the city itself was, like, kind of pretty, but, like, nobody spoke English, and, like, when it came to, like, being there with regards for the meet, it was, like, not very organized. So, like, you would think that you'd have, like, an itinerary to follow, either from, like, the people at the hotel or, like, from the U.S. coaches of, like, what you needed to get from day to day. But it was like really disorganized come with when it came to like getting your ID to get into the stadium and paying your travel and all this stuff that you needed to do while you were there before you could compete. And since so few people spoke English, it was like kind of annoying. So that like was a little bit stressful trying to figure all that stuff out, pretty much by yourself in the day or two leading into you competing.
I know that you got there and there was like some back door that you had to go through to get to the room, but you didn't know because the front was closed, and then you just ended up having to push bench.
Yeah. Yeah, so what happened was the stadium closes, like the front door for everybody to enter through closed at like, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., whatever it was. But there was like a back entrance that nobody knew about except, some of the coaches after they had been there for a few days that the athletes could pretty much go straight through and then they'd be in the back warm-up room. So one of the days I was going to go bench at the stadium, and I went and I walked all the way to the stadium because, I wasn't going to Uber.
How far was it?
It was probably like a mile away. It wasn't too far.
I mean, I'd rather you not walk a mile, you know what I mean?
No,
But I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
I didn't have the rubles or whatever on me to go Uber over there.
When you say that, I think of those fucking the rupees from Zelda. There's just a guy there with a fucking gun, like, show me your rupees, show me your little red diamonds, and then if you don't have them, he just fucking hits you with the butt of the gun.
Just like an ambiguous coin purse, just like.
But yeah, so.
I walked over there, the door was closed, and nobody had mentioned the back room, so I was like, all right, I guess I have to go train at the hotel gym. And the hotel gym, like, the floor was slipping, the bench was, like, probably, like, mid-shin height. Like, it was just, like, it was absolute trash. I took, like, a 374 single, and it moved at, like, 10. I was like, wow, fuck this shit.
Oh, man. Confidence, dead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, honestly, at that point, it doesn't really matter, like, how you feel or what the fuck's going on. Like, you just gotta fucking compete. And in your situation specifically, and in most other sports that are not, it happens in powerlifting, and I think we need more like head-to-head competition. I know you really wanted to beat John Gruden. It was pretty much USA for the winning spot, and there was no 83 open, so it's like you're the 83 that's representing your country. Whether or not, JP Couchy wants to be like juniors don't exist. Here in the United States, we're fucking hella deep. So, our juniors would smash opens from other countries.
We could have sent our top 10 juniors, and we would have taken 1 through 10 in the juniors, or you could have sent our top 10 juniors, eliminate the sketchy Kazakhstani people in the open, and we could have taken 2 through 11. So, like,
yeah, so
cut it however you want to. In previous years, when the Kazakhstanis were banned, like, we would have out-totaled everyone else who came after, Brett and John.
Yeah. And
I think I agree about the juniors thing. Like, not necessarily that they should be gone or you shouldn't be proud of the accomplishments. One, because it's just insane.
It's fucking hard, dude. It's fucking hard. I can't tell you how many kids come to me.
One in the U.S., like, I can't speak for JP in Australia. Their membership in Australia is nothing near the size of the membership in the U.S. So, first, we just have more depth than every other country when it comes to young powerlifting. But second, I think it's a huge motivational factor for a kid to say, okay, I want to be one of the top juniors, because it gives them a stepping stone, right? If a kid has potential to be a good lifter one day in the open, or like a solid lifter in the open, if he has that stepping stone, like, oh shit, I could be a really good junior and, potentially go to Worlds and win. Like, that's how you keep people motivated to keep competing and keep pushing the standard. Because if you just have a Brett Gibbs in the open and then you don't have a junior, it's like, well, fuck, I'm like 300 pounds off his total. How the fuck am I ever going to compete against him? Because if there's no junior, then what does he do? He just keeps getting smashed by a 26-year-old for his life.
I really think that winning a competition like that can change your life. Like, it can do so many different things for your attitude, for your just being like working really fucking hard for something, putting everything into something, and then finally coming out on top. It's got to be one of the best feelings in the world. That being said, so you get to the meet, you take care of your weight cut, you make weight. After you make weight, what did you do? And what was your mind?
After weigh-ins, it's all the keys.
Yes, all the keys, all the sodium.
So
hopefully they had stuff there.
I had packed everything with me because all the stuff that I needed didn't need to be like cooked or anything. I put it all in my checked luggage.
Yeah.
So like I got so lucky because I knew the flight was going to be fast, but I was the first lot number.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you were the first one? You were literally the first one? Oh my god.
Ever happened. I was so happy. That's never happened to me before. That I was like, I've never even been toward the top. I've always been like one of the last people to weigh in, and I was the first. So
lucky as shit.
Since I was so light, I was like 181.
How many were there of you guys?
There were 15.
Yeah, that's a lot.
15.
I'd be mad if I was that last guy.
Yeah.
If I was like, relevant.
Since I was underweight, while we were waiting to weigh in, I was already done with a bag of salt and vinegar chips. After I weigh in, I ate another. I had already drank like 6 packs of soy sauce that morning. Hit Pedialyte, Gatorade, whatever. This time around, like, I think Worlds is a lot different, and I think it needs to be, maybe you don't need to treat it differently, but at least you need to recognize in your head that it's different. Over the years, I think it just comes with maturity that, like, a lot of people tend to drift from, getting so amped up 24/7 throughout the course of their meet because they just burn out. So I was trying to be a little bit more even keel, and I think with Worlds that might be a little more necessary because, when you're at Worlds, you have your designated coaches in the back room. The meet goes by really quickly. You don't have like all your friends coming to your meet. Like, the atmosphere is a lot different. It's a lot more fast paced.
Yeah.
And I think it requires a lot more focus than it does hype.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was gonna say, was it 2 flights, and you guys would kind of go at the same time, and then you get 20 minutes, and then the next, it's like flight, 20 minutes, lift, 20 minutes, lift, done.
It was legitimately worse than that. So I'll get to that right after what I was gonna say. But I actually had a conversation with Candido at like, we always have like retardedly late night conversations. It was probably like 5 a.m. U.S. time. Or no, it was like 1 a.m. U.S. time, so it was like 6 a.m. my time. We were talking about, competing here at Worlds and how it was different, and he told me, he's like, yo, like, just put on some reggae the entire meet. And my playlist from like warm-ups to finish was Bob Marley, so that's literally what I listened to the entire meet. Like, I didn't ammonia, I didn't like scream, I just kept everything like very focused in on executing well.
Yep, that's what you gotta do, man. I mean,
it felt good, but the issue with what you were talking about with Worlds in terms of flights, there were supposed to be 18 lifters at Worlds in the 83s, and 3 of them just didn't show up, so there were 15 of us. So Flight A got broken up into 8 lifters, and then Flight B was 7. So
fuck.
So Flight A went first, Flight B went second. There were 7 of us. I honestly probably had, 4 minutes, maybe, between squats. 4 to 5 minutes between squats. And then I remember after missing my 3rd squat, I walk back to the warm-up room. I'm getting some food, and Arian goes, all right, in about 5 minutes, we're going to start bench warm-ups.
And you're like, fuck.
It was literally an hour from my...
But you train like that, do you? Do you take a long time to hit all... Like, if you have multiple lifts in the same day, or do you just move to the next one, squat, then go bench, or what?
I mean, I definitely take less time than most people. I warm up pretty quickly, but once I'm up to my top sets, I do need a little bit of time. Um, but yeah, no, from my opening squat to my last bench, it was like an hour.
Yep.
So
That's
wake any meet.
I honestly don't think I mean the Arnold was like that 2016. 2017 was like
It's a little better. I had 13 lifters in my flight. This was honestly an anomaly. Like for Worlds, like all the other weight classes had more lifters in them. When I handled it, Daniela, there were 12 in her weight class. The spotters and loaders were moving a little bit more leisurely. But yeah, this meet went really, 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 really fast. It was hard to, not even hard to keep up, but just like because of how little time you had in between, you probably didn't have as much time for like the food or the sodium or the water to do what it does over the course of a 5-hour meet.
So you missed your third squat. I'm actually. Did Kang chop it up for you?
He didn't chop up the whole thing for me. I didn't ask him to. I asked him just to send me my second squat. But basically, what happened was, I took my opener and moved really well. And usually, like I was warming up, and in the past when I've weighed in really light, squats have felt pretty shitty. I just have always felt like I just had too much mobility and the bar felt heavy, whatever.
You did go deep as fuck this meet. Like I was wow.
Whenever that was a little bit intentional. I spent like a lot making sure that I was gonna hit depth before warm-ups just because I didn't want to miss depth. Because sometimes in training it was borderline when I don't take as much time warming up. Around opener moved well, second moved pretty well, and then on my third, I walked it out, stumbled, and just was like standing a little too narrow.
Yeah.
And I was.
No, it was like a full foot. It was like a full foot space.
It was. If I walked.
So like 5 inches ish.
Like from the offset angle they were at. Yeah, from the offset angle they were at. On my previous 2 attempts, you could see my left foot like outside the rack from that angle, and you couldn't on my third squat. And I was like, I could probably step this foot out, but I don't want to, stumble and fidget around. So I was like, I'll just stay here. My second attempt didn't feel too bad, and I went down and like.
It looks so different.
It felt like every squat I've ever done in a meet before moving my stance out. Like,
yeah.
I got all my weight back on my heels. My hips just shot up, and like once I got to that point, I was like, I tried pushing. I was just like not in a position to.
So really quickly, because everybody asks. All right, so we don't have to address the haters, but we're gonna just provide some insight to explain that obviously Sean at his level, he's been working with me for almost 3 years now, and we have decided over time, putting our brains together and just that he needs to be wider to limit his mobility, to give him more power, to utilize his posterior chain in a way that's going to allow him to lift the most amount of weight. He also, and this is something that I don't hear people talk about too much, he's a smaller lifter, so he's an 83 kilo guy, lifting, multiple times his body weight. This is even more important the smaller you are and the stronger you are. But is stability. That's why, like, there's one lifter I'm thinking of in particular from like years ago. He was a 74 guy in USPA. He used to dive bomb his squats. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he used to dive bomb, just fall into the hole, and he was really strong. And it was like, dude, like you're super narrow. Look, the narrower your stance, the longer your femur is, you're gonna have like such a long like angle to overcome, and you lose power those last couple inches just trying to control that descent. That's why a lot of times like people just fall. They're not consciously thinking, okay, I need to take my time, brace, control myself into the hole. All right, at this last Arnold, when I hit that 666, it was almost like the bar's bending with that much weight. We had the Ohio comp bar, and I'm holding this weight, and I'm like, okay, I got this weight, I have control of it. All I have to do is it's coming with me into the hole, and I'm not gonna lose this control, and then I'm just gonna stand up with it. And it was like such an automatic thing, And you guys know, if you guys watch me, I'm really careful with my squats. Part of that's because I've fucking injured everything, and I don't want to die. But you know, you got to control your squats. Sean, with a wider stance, can not only limit his depth, he can use more of his muscles to help him lift the weight, and he has better stability that way. So if you guys ever look at him and say, why the fuck is this guy squatting so wide? If you think it's easier for 1 second, it's giving him slightly more mechanical advantage, but it's not like, you know, it's not like fucking pulling sumo off blocks or something, you know what I mean, or deadlifting with straps. It's fucking hard, you know. It just allows him.
A lot of people were to try squatting the way that I do, and there's a reason people don't.
They'll get hurt. They could get hurt. Yeah.
Your hips. A lot of people, you know, I have a lot of hip mobility and very little hip stability. Your hips would probably hurt. You might not be able to hit depth. You might not be able to rotate your hips out such that your femur is not pressing against the acetabulum. But basically, I have a shit ton of hip mobility, shitty ankle mobility, and really bad hip stability. So when I move my stance way out, it puts me closer to my end range, and my body will just stop me where it'll stop me at a high point. If I'm really narrow and I have really long legs, both femurs and tibias, I have really long legs, and when I squat narrower, that lever is just really, really long. Since I don't have great ankle mobility, my weight shifts forward, and I'm just putting myself in the best position that I can squat in. I don't know mechanically why why I can't use my quads as effectively in a narrow stance, but it's just the case, and I found that moving my stance out is strongest.
So that's why you do it. You do, and I'm sure people are gonna have a lot of questions on the bench press. Now, your bench triggers a lot of people, but I was thinking about it the other day, and when you used to sink, nobody was mad. Like, nobody got mad.
When I sunk, my range of motion was like 4 inches longer.
Yeah, so I think it was after the Arnold, you were just like, let me play with this, and it's good. And one thing to look at this tiny little arm here that can somehow bench the world. The humerus in the bottom of the bench, when it's at like this angle and not below that. So here is like, you're gonna have a shitty bench. If this is your bottom position, dude, that's all you gotta do. You know what I mean? I have a theory with the sumo deadlift where if their femur is at that similar angle or just above it, they're gonna be able to do like a fuck ton of weight off of blocks, or they're gonna feel good with touch and go, because you're basically like, you have a lot of control in those end range of motions. It's kind of similar to the squat. They're all, whether we're moving your humerus or your femur or your torso, like, it's all about angles. It's all about just finding the best position for you.
If you were to look at, that's why people with really long arms or people who tend to be really, really short lift more. It's not like there's a lot of people who don't have more muscle that's actually capable of creating more force than another. It's that lifting is dependent on torque as well. Like, it's the force times the moment arm. It's the force. If
your tricep, I was just gonna say, if your tricep attaches here versus attaching here, where do you think you're gonna have more control and more power? You know what I mean? That's why when I look at John, I'm just like, maybe his glutes just attach lower. Like, maybe his quad attaches like halfway down his shin, and that's why he has so much fucking, so much power from his quads and like no ham action. But so the bench press, what were you feeling during warm-ups? Were you kind of bloated? Were you like, oh shit, maybe I didn't bloat enough?
I definitely felt bloated. The weight felt okay in my hands. Benches, especially with how much we train it, it's hard to get on meet day like that perfect 100% feeling on bench press, and that's just because it's not as predictable as my squat or deadlift, right? Like,
you'll have like a shitty day, and the next day you'll be fucking on fire.
It's like with squat and deadlift, you can predict reasonably well for most people that if you reduce their workload in a point where they were fatigued, the fatigue will go away and they'll probably have a good day. And if you peak them in that manner, then they're going to have, a PR day, whatever it needs to be. With my bench, it's not as linear. We still really don't understand the recovery because we bench every day. So it's not something that you can say, okay, this day I'm going to have the best bench day possible. There are some random days where I'll have a really good day. So, we reduce enough volume such that I have a good day on bench for meet day. But again, it's totally, almost a crapshoot. I felt pretty good on bench. My opener felt good. My second attempt, I think I got to a point where I had almost touched and then realized that I didn't, and then had to come down a little bit more.
Your second?
On my second, yep. And my second was kind of rough, so we only went up 2.5 to 407. And honestly, I have no idea what happened on my third attempt because I've never, ever, ever, ever had up and down on my bench press, especially since it wasn't aside from the up and down, it was not an RP 10 attempt. It was I pressed, I got stuck, I went down on the left side, and then
if you had a fourth attempt, you probably could have got 413.
Yeah, we were in Russia.
Yeah, Russia with the fucking fireworks and flames and naked girls everywhere, and yeah, but missed the third bench.
I missed the third bench.
And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm watching. I caught your last squat, and I didn't get to see it, but I got to look at the card because that was the only thing working. The stream was in and out. It was lagging. It was all over the place. But I was watching the card, I was updating, and it would show if you hit your lift or not. And I'm okay, Sean could fucking do this. I thought Gruden was gonna have way more, and I was Sean could pull 5. Sean could pull, I think I saw your opener, and I was dude, you have 680. If you need it, you can put it on the bar, and I have 100% faith you can get it. And, I think you hit your opener, he hit his opener, you took a jump, he tried to jump with you, he didn't have shit. And he was all right, I'm gonna back it down. And I think he put in a higher one and then pulled it down. And then I was dude, I was already he's fucking dude, it's over, it's done. You just got to finish, and then so your second was 650.
650, yeah. So what happened there,
Fucking beautiful too.
We opened. I think he opened, 595 or something like that. I opened 622. Both moved well. I jumped up to 650 after I don't remember what his second was. It was probably.
Who was lighter?
28, 6.
He was a little bit lighter.
33, something like. What's up?
He was a little bit lighter in body weight. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the 170s.
Yeah, so you had to straight up beat him. He couldn't tie him.
Yeah.
You had to just beat him. Yep.
So I hit my second, and probably one of the faster 650s I've ever done.
Hold on, say that one more time. You cut out. Hold on. You cut out. So you hit your second.
I hit my second.
Okay.
That was probably one of the fastest 650s I've ever pulled.
Yeah, that was good shit.
And after that, Arian comes up to me. He's all right, man, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put in 300 kilos for Deuce's third attempt. We're going to put in 310 for yours. As we're getting up to his attempt, he's going to decide, whether or not he wants to, go for 300 and try to push you to pull something bigger, or if he doesn't feel he has it.
So let me explain. I like to call this... this comes from when I used to play cards, which we'll talk about another time. Cards, heart of the cards. It's where you take, you have 15 cards and you have 40 cards, and you combine them. You just straight up take the 15 and put it in there, and you got to pull out 15. It's called a smoke screen. So essentially, you're faking out your opponent to where it's like I'm going to do something, and it could be this big-ass number that you can't do, but it's probably not going to be that. So if you're a young, inexperienced lifter and you see this, you freak out and you're oh shit, what am I gonna do against this? But you just do it anyway. It's something to do. There's times when I'll be in the I won't be in the mood. And I'm I don't even fucking care. I'm just gonna put in what I put in. I don't care what you do. And then there's times when I'm we're just gonna put in infinity and then make sure that we change it before. You already have the card filled out. It's kind of good to tell the desk yo, this is what I'm gonna do. Fun fact, um, John at the U.S. Open, dude, my mind was spinning, and there was all kinds of that going on. But I was never there. But anyway, so back to what happened. I'm just gonna fucking. All right, I'm gonna go first, and then I want you to tell me like just talk about your feelings here. I saw that you pulled your third. I saw the lights, and I fucking got so happy. I made a post on Facebook. I made a post on Instagram. I was so fucking happy. Like, I cannot. Tina was at work, and she called me. It's like early as fuck. I'm supposed to be asleep for another 4 hours, and like I'm like I can't. I was like, dude, just thinking to myself, like, all this fucking work and all this time and all these months and all the worry and all the, you know, whatever self-doubt you had or just all the emotions coming together, and one day for you to fucking win, I can't explain it. It was just a great feeling. But then for Tina to call me back and be like, yo, like, they overturned the call, I literally felt like, it feels like when you get a call and you hear that somebody died. Or seriously, it was like horrible. It was like the worst. Yeah. It was like the worst fucking shit. And, you know, it fucking killed me. And it, like, Tina was crying. Like, bad. And it sucks, man. And if for it to happen to you, of all people, fucking course it would happen to you. Like, of course it would happen to Sean. Why wouldn't it happen to anyone else? He got his first 2 lists. He's bound to miss one. Some fucking shit's got to happen, right? So, you know, it was just fucking stupid. So how did you feel when you pulled it and you saw the lights? You pull it, yeah, so, see the lights.
Yeah, I went out there, and I was like, all right, I can't get aggressive. I can't yank it and then get bobbled down like it's happened in the past. I'm like, I'm gonna take it easy. I get to the top. I'm holding that bitch. I'm standing there. I'm not getting a down command. And I just hold it for like another 2 seconds, and I finally get the down. I feel like I'm.
Did you feel like you locked out? You know when you're locked out, like when you lock out and you're like, oh, I'm good.
I definitely felt like I locked out. So.
Okay.
This pull was not like a near maximal pull. I didn't feel like I had to struggle to get to lockout. Usually I get stuck, you know, kind of right off the floor, mid-shin, and then once I get past that, it's just a smooth lockout after I lock my quads. I got back to where I thought I was locked out, and I was just trying to hold it as long as I could. Then I got the down command. I held it like a little bit after getting the down command, you know, just to make sure. Came down, saw the 2 white lights. I got a red. Didn't even know what the red was for.
Didn't even fucking care, probably.
I didn't care. Didn't care and didn't know what I did wrong, really. I freaked out, you know, gave Arian a hug, shook John's hand, walked off the platform, started to go pack up my stuff, was going to go say hi to, you know, my family or whatever. And then I make it around the corner. So, like, there's the back curtain. Make it around the corner to where you can see the bleachers and where you can see the platforms going. And then I hear Gino over the announcements, and he's like, the 83 junior kilo lifters, that last deadlift was overturned, and John Gruden is your world champion. And I'm like, I look at my mom, and she just starts crying hysterically. And I'm looking at her. I'm not angry. I'm not sad.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
This would happen. I'm like, this is how it's supposed to go, wasn't it?
Man, but we don't.
Like, all right. I guess, I mean, I can't do anything about that. After that, I walked over to Gruden. He was like, yo, man, that's bullshit. That shouldn't have happened, whatever.
I went to a dark place, man. I went to a dark place. I really did. But then I came back, and I was like, you know what? It's all good. We got another meet coming up. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna fucking.
I went up to Arian, and I was like, Arian, like, what the fuck happened? And he goes, I went to the jury table. They said no one contested it. They said that they unanimously made the decision that your shoulders weren't back. I'm like, they all said that? He goes, I went up to one of them and asked, and then he turned to the others. They all looked at him and were like, oh, yeah, shoulders. I'm like, okay, that sounds like BS.
Hold up, man. Man, this is the thing. Like, in the NFL, when there's a weird play, if nobody fights it, they just leave it. Like we pay these refs millions or fuck ton of money to call these fucking things.
Yeah.
If nobody like wants to contest the call, The higher ups are not going to go out of their way to overturn a call. You know what I mean? And let alone the same country, the same team. You know what I'm saying? If fucking
let me get all the levels of that. I think a lot of things confuse me about it. So the first thing was that, you know, I went and looked over the jury card because Alexander Kang is always on top of that shit. He sends me the jury card, and all the jury members were from different countries. Like, one was from Russia, one was from Estonia, one was from Hungary, something like that.
Okay.
Right? So they don't want, or they might have preference for who they want to win and who they don't. In this case, it didn't make sense on one level for them to overturn it because it's two U.S. guys. It makes no difference on the medaling. That was the first thing. The second thing is that if you're not contested, like you said, in any other sport, if it's not being contested, why would you overturn it? You have 3 judges there to make a call. If you don't trust those judges, then why are they there? So that's the second thing.
Yeah.
The third thing that tripped me up the most was I spoke to Gino later that night, and I asked Gino because a bunch of people were making posts on Facebook that, you know, John Gruden or someone in Gruden's camp went over it. There was no one in Gruden's camp. Arian was handling both of us. Nobody went over to contest it. So I asked Gino, I'm like, Gino, what the fuck happened? And Gino goes, all right. The jury table had a TV screen in front of them, and they had access to the live stream in front of them. So he goes, after you pulled your third, they decided to pause it, and they rewind to watch your deadlift again, and they saw the live stream lockout in the video. But the problem was the live stream showed my lockout from the side I already got the red light on. So, like, in the scene of my pull, it starts on the left side, and then it goes over to the right of me holding my lockout from the right side, and my right shoulder was not back on the right side. So they made the decision, all of them, to overturn the lift based on the one angle.
So they gave that side judge like a super call, like a super fucking.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can agree, watching the video over again, I can agree that it was definitely questionable from that angle for sure. Like, I can concede that. I'm not butthurt about that red light. But the problem is that if you're going to make a call, you can't make it on one angle. Otherwise, you would have one judge. And you can't give, when you have a jury table making a call from that one angle, agreeing with the judge who already gave that red light, that's exactly like, that's like saying he's like a super delegate. He basically says, all right, I gave you my red light, it's going to count as 3 versus...
Cuck 'em all.
Cuck 'em all. Democratic Party, what up?
Man, so, dude, yeah, it was fucked. I, in particular, have a hard time dealing with... There's 2 ways you can look at it. If you do everything in your power, like if you can control all the variables that you can control and you perform at whatever it is that you're doing, and you still lose. You did everything you could. Like, if Tom Brady ended up missing one of those, you know, if the Patriots missed one of those kicks and they came back from infinity down and they lose by 1 point, even though they lost, they made a statement. They did everything they could. But it fucking sucks to lose that way. It sucks to lose that way because you did everything that you could and you still came up short. I think you have a reason to be mad. I think you have a reason to be human. I think you have a reason to, you know, be frustrated. But at the end of the day, I always think of Blaine Sumner in this situation. For those that don't know, he competed at Raw, I think it was Equip Worlds or Nationals, and he bombed, like completely bombed out. And then he went to Raw Nationals and won, and then he won, you know, Geared Nationals and then won Geared Worlds. Like, he from that bomb out, he was like, all right, I'm only going to go up from here. So, you know, some positives. We've already gotten back into training. You're going to, you know, you just pulled 655, like, no problem. Piece of fucking cake. At 7. At most. But, you know... we're good. Like, you're just gonna keep getting stronger, and I think that is just gonna make you even hungrier to come back. And a lot of people can hate on you for whatever reason, but which like makes no sense to me. You're a good kid. You go to a good school. You have your shit together. You have a fantastic and amazing lady to support you in your endeavors. I don't think she can hear me, but you know, like, they're gonna respect you whether they like you or not, because you're always there. You always show up. You train hard. You do what you gotta do, and you know, it's it's the type of personality that I got lucky. Like, I'm lucky that you have that personality, because you could have given up many, many times down the road. You could have said, you know what, I can't beat John. You know, I mean, John's still up there, and he's great to chase, but you are very young. I don't know if he was here at this level when he was your age. And a lot of people get discouraged when they see like top guys, but you just say, I gotta work. Like, I'm just gonna fucking work. I'm gonna keep, you know, doing what I do and training and you know, putting everything that I can into this to make me the best that I can be. And I think you know, you fucking made it to Worlds, man, and that's an accomplishment. Whether some people think juniors should exist or not, but you know, I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you for that. And I think to the guy that hits me up in the emails that says, Joey, there's a lot of people that do this too. I wanna do good at this meet, but eventually I wanna go to Worlds. Like, only a select few people get to go. It's not select, you gotta win, right? But if you work really, really hard and you put in the time and you have, you know, time on your side, being younger or whatever, you could find a way to get there one way or another. You know, you could. It's if you don't have the dream, there's no dream to pursue. You know what I mean? So I think it was a tough way to go out, but I'm happy that you got to go. I'm happy that you got to experience it. I went to the 2016 Worlds. It was in Texas. It was really laid back. It was cool to see everyone. You know, and then for me to get warmed up working with the juniors, and then for John to do his thing, that was some crazy shit. And you know, I was gonna go to this Worlds. Here's the thing, for those who have asked me, I was gonna go to this Worlds because Tina was on the alternate list. She was like the first or second one. I'm not sure. Danny was gonna go. You were right behind Danny. By the way, Danny, I think he Wilkes one more than you, 0.1.
He Wilkes 0.01 more.
God damn, Danny Sullivan. You guys know Danny. Shout out to Danny. Shout out, Danny.
Shout out, fifth dimensional boy.
Fifth dimensional, King Cuckold, the god himself. Yeah, so Danny, Sean, I had prep Grant Higa for nationals, and he made it, so I wanted to see him. And I was already, like, Jesse was supposed to go, John was on the fence, we didn't know what John was going to do, and I was like, cool, I'm going to have a squad there, like everybody's supposed to go. But then I remember Danny was like, he kind of got it in my head, like, I don't want to go, it's far, I don't want to go, I don't go. And I'm like, all right, you're right, like, it is kind of far. And his dad was kind of, bugging him about going over there. So Danny, dropped out, which allowed you to get in. But then I think more people dropped out, so you both could have gone. So I kind of wish, like, that would have happened, because that would have been dope as fuck. But, oh, well, shit is what it is. And then Tina was like, damn, Belarus, I don't know if I want to go all the way over there, just to be an alternate. But then Tina dropped out. Chelsea Savick got in instead of Tina, like, because she was right after her, and then she ended up going. But I think we were too deep in. So basically, like, a bunch of people dropped out, and they got it in my head, like, I didn't have a passport, and it was a lot of money, and just a lot of different variables. I honestly don't do good on planes because I don't sleep, and that shit would have fucked me up. I would have lost a ton of work. I don't know what the internet would have. Did you have internet there? Like, were you able to get on your laptop?
It was really shitty, but yeah.
Like, I don't like working on slow internet.
Spreadsheets and email, but like if you needed to be on the internet, it was really slow.
Yeah, that frustrates me, dude. I would pay extra to have something there, but yeah. I mean, I wanted to go, but it is what it is. I mean, we're gonna send Sean again next year, and we're gonna have a new challenger, and he knows who he is. He's coming too, and
Who's that? Mom.
I don't know, but he's pretty swole. If you guys didn't know,
I hear it's he has no neck. Is that
he's got no neck. He's swole, and he's outrageously good looking. So, ladies,
I hear he once crossed state lines just to flip a pancake.
Yo, hey. Yeah, we're gonna get him on here one day with both of you guys, and this shit's gonna be funny as fuck. But hey, shout out to Russell, man. You're a good kid. I love you, man. I'm glad to have you. You mesh well with the team. You know what I mean? But so Worlds. Danny was next. Danny competed.
Yep.
She killed it. Did she surprise you anywhere? Did she make weight easy? Was it rough?
So yeah, I was stressing about Daniela, even, I was stressing about Mason, who I had compete the day before I did, and I was stressing about Daniela,
yes.
stressing about Daniela the day I competed. I was worried about her because she was overweight going into the meet, and I think the flight definitely led to her holding on to more water than she normally has, because we slowly got her down to a weight that was within range of making weight over the previous 6 to 8 weeks, and for whatever reason it was not coming off. Like we were a day out and it was not coming off. So right after I competed, I went with her to the sauna. She had to spit a little bit. She had to spit a lot, and then she ended up making weight the next day. But she made weight fine. Most of it was lost through the spitting. And then her squat warm-ups they were not going well at all. They were moving really slow. She didn't feel good. And, I'm very fortunate that I was allowed to handle her, because had it been, a third party who's not as close to her as I am, her warm-ups would have been moving slow, and they would have been like, all right, I guess we have to lower your opener. You're right. It is moving slow.
Yeah, man, you got to have faith.
That would have thrown off her entire psyche. She would have taken a lower opener. She probably would have treated it like nothing, because she already knew that her goal wasn't going to be reached, and it would have just gone downhill from there. But I had to just sit there and just, like, nerves of steel just lie through my teeth. Nah, you look good. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. She hits her last warm-up. It's like 386. Does not move well. I'm like, fuck. I thought she was peaked perfectly. Like, all her weight came off last minute, so it has nothing to do with food. And I'm like, fuck. So I'm just like, we just have to see what happens. She takes her opener, and it moves pretty well. I look at Chris Aiden was helping me spot and load with her and pick attempts. We look at each other. I'm like, all right, yeah, that moved well. Let's go for the junior world record.
Fuck it.
She comes out like 438. She hits it, RP 8. We're like, all right, yeah, that was fine too. Let's go for the open world record. Fuck it. 455. And at this point, this was like Daniela's goal. She came to Worlds and she just wanted to take that squat world record. It's been up there for a little while by a woman most people don't know. Most of the young people don't know. A lot of people who are deep into powerlifting know. But this woman, Ilya Strick, she's in her mid-40s. I think she has almost 20, if not over 20, IPF World Championships, both raw and equipped. And she's been holding that record. So it was Daniela's goal to come in and break that record. And with Daniela, when she's focused on a lift, she turns on this like fifth gear that you never see from her 99% of the time. And she just put on her music. She got zoned in. And you just like, you see the fire in her eyes when she walks out to the bar. When she unreacted, I was like, all right, she's got this. And she hit it. It was a grind. She got kind of pitched forward halfway up, but she was like, she's like, I didn't come here to miss this halfway up. She grinded it out, turns around, 3 white lights. And like, I was way more psyched for her hitting that third attempt than I was when I thought I won the day before. Like, I was so proud of her, so happy for her, putting in all the effort she had. And then, overcoming all the adversity, and then the stress relief for me of knowing that, she was good on squat.
Oh, yes, finally!
It's definitely a way more, in my opinion, it's a more fulfilling feeling to watch somebody that you've coached and have a relationship with, succeed like that.
Oh man, all relatable. That's literally, my fucking life. It's a great feeling, and man, it's not even like it's like the most non-selfish thing. Like, I can't describe it. Like, it's like
people probably think it's like, oh fuck yeah, I coached her to do that. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what it could come off as, but no, like,
it's like you see like the happy, you see like the smile on their face and the happiness. You're like, wow, I'm so happy that you're so happy right now.
When Jesse pulled for the win at Nationals, like I don't coach Jesse, but I was so fucking happy. I help him on meet day. That's it. I fight judges for him. That's all I do. And I bring the squad and we load his weights because he's got a lot of weights to load. But you know, I was so happy for him to get that. And it's just, even if I'm like a little tiny part of it, with him than with others, but I know what you mean, man. And then her bench was doing great in training, and then she hit.
She ended up benching. So what happened was,
Does she win at this point? Are you guys like, all right, cool, we just got hit openers and we win?
after we looked at the numbers, she had won on her openers.
Yeah.
So that was fine. Our goal after squat was the world record total, the open world record total.
Did she total more than the open lifter? Do you know?
No, she totaled 4 kilos less than the open
Okay.
lifter. So what happened was we dropped her opener before, like we had a planned opener before the meet, but we had dropped it, you know, leading into the meet, what with travel and weight cut and all that. So she hit her opener. It was really smooth. And we had the choice to go for, I think it was either 253 or 259 on her second. I wanted to go to 259 on her second just to set her up for, because 264 would have put her in a good spot even if her deadlift was, you know, not stellar. But if we wanted a shot at the open world record total, her placing didn't matter, so it made sense to be a little bit more conservative and not risk missing an attempt. She took 253 on her second, moved well, and from then we just jumped 2.5 just to secure a third. It moved probably like 8.5, 9. She definitely had 264 in her. We came in with the goal of 270. Could have happened, but it would have been like an RPE a million. So we definitely left 2.5 kilos on bench, which I didn't think.
Which is very safe.
Yeah, I didn't think it would have ended up mattering when it came to the open world record total, but by the time she got up to deadlift, she was.
Was her meet fast?
Her meet was reasonably fast. It was not as bad as our session was. She had more lifters in her flight than I did.
Did she stay like carved up throughout, drinking water throughout, or not really?
She was drinking. She was drinking. She was eating, but she was very tired going into deadlifts. Just like visibly tired. Like Daniela already has problems sleeping, and then with the time change over, she really did not sleep much. Especially, she didn't sleep much because of the time change. She didn't sleep much because she normally has issues sleeping, and then she didn't sleep much because the night before she had her nerves and, you know, couldn't sleep because of that. So like,
yeah.
she was, you know, after bench, she like literally laid down and was, you know, yawning. It was tired. I gave her some pre-workout, but she was pretty fatigued going into deadlifts. The deadlift training was great. She hit her last heavy single a week out, moved pretty well, and she took her last warm-up 3 days out, and it absolutely flew. Looked like everything should be ready, but I think she was just exhausted going into pulls. Her opener moved pretty slow, so we took smaller jumps, and at that point we had asked her, like, do you want to, you know, after hitting her second, I think her second was 446 or something like that, which is the lowest second attempt she's taken in a while on deadlift. We asked her, like, you can go for the open world record total right now and take 468, or you can play it safe and go 9 for 9 and get the gold deadlift medal and go 458. And at that point she was like, okay, you know, I've never gone 9 for 9. I'm going to take the 9 for 9, which I think is pretty mature of her.
Yep.
Because I'm sure a lot of people, especially as, you know, as young as she is, still technically a teen in the U.S. And a junior on the world stage, probably would have been like, you know, fuck it. Like, I already won this meet. Why don't I go for the world record? You know, it could have been there. It couldn't have been there. It was definitely borderline. Her third attempt was pretty hard, but she might have had another 5 kilos in her. But I think it was, you know, pretty mature of her to say, okay, I'm going to lock in this 9 for 9 meet. Okay, gold medals across the board, recognizing that, you know, so young and has years and years and years to take the world record and potentially just, you know, keep upping it from year to year. So she ended up going 9 for 9. PR'd squat massively. PR'd squat by like 30-something pounds. PR'd bench by 2.5 kilos, but it was very safe. jump, she definitely had another 2.5. And then deadlift, she didn't PR, but her total PR was, pretty massive. Only 4 kilos. Yeah, I think 4.5 kilos off the open world record total.
So I think, we have two examples of people that, like, just because you're traveling doesn't mean you're going to have the worst meet of your life. I think if you think that, you will. Alrighty, so you guys killed it at Worlds. Didn't let that travel affect you.
Nope.
Proud of you both. You can tell her that. Tell her that right now. Say it right now.
She's in the shower right now.
Son of a bitch!
So.
Nah. When she comes out, you fucking... Where are you guys at? Where you at right now?
So, I'm in my fraternity house right now. She was supposed to leave Wednesday, because I have class over the summer. I'm in class every day. I woke up at like 7:30 on Wednesday, and her flight was at 11 a.m. And what you got there? So I woke up at like 7:30, and she woke up with me. She had to leave the house at like 9 a.m. to get to the airport.
Yeah.
But when I woke up at 7:30, she woke up, packed everything up. She's like, "Oh, I have time. I'll just nap for a little bit." Set my alarm. She ended up setting her alarm for 9 p.m. instead of a.m.
Fuck it.
She missed her flight on Wednesday, so she's here till Sunday.
Was she tripping out? Or were you like, follow me?
We joked about her pretending to, sleep through and just purposely missing it, but she actually missed it. And she texted me like 20 minutes before the flight was supposed to take off. She's like, fuck! She's like, oh my god, I can't believe I slept through that. I set my alarm for 9 p.m. And I'm like, I was upset for her because like she has to now pay more money to get it canceled, but I'm like, you're here. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Enjoy your time together because, long distance thing is tough. But
like another month, so.
She's going to be obviously at Nationals. You're going to be at Nationals. She'll visit. It's cool that you guys visit each other often. I think that's... Like, long distance is tough, man. And if you can't, financially make it happen, then it could be a tough thing. But I think it's great that you guys are together. It's great that you guys can both lift and, just experience these things together. I know that, obviously, I literally met Tina through powerlifting, and we're still together after all this time. And she's been through hella shit together through the sport. Just watching, that's the great thing about powerlifting is you grow, like, you don't only grow as a lifter, you grow as a person. As much as there's things about powerlifting I don't like, there are some positive things. Just dealing with adversity, working hard, getting, like, specifically being able to go 9 for 9 can teach some character, and it shows a lot of maturity, as you had previously mentioned. But I also understand the other part to just, like, the guy who wins. Yeah, that is a thing too. But I wanted to talk to you really quickly about school, since you guys are at the frat house. That's what I was gonna say. So where do you go to school? Like, and are you going full time, and what? And is it affecting your training at all whatsoever, or do you kind of like work things around training, or what's going on?
So I'm currently going to school at MIT. I've completed 3 years, so I'm going into my senior year this fall. I study mechanical engineering, but recently decided that engineering wasn't what I wanted to pursue. So I'm planning on going to med school. So the plan is to
become Eli Burks.
Become Eli Burks. Oh, by the way, Joey says he's proud of you. She says thanks. But yeah. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to go to med school. I came in MIT undecided, went with mechanical engineering just because, like, mechanical engineering and computer science are like the two most, they filter out as opposed to filter in, so you get a lot of different options career-wise after finishing, as opposed to, diving into one specific thing. And I knew I didn't want to code, so I went with that.
Fuck that.
Realized I hated engineering altogether, and that I wanted to become a doctor. So going into my senior year now. So the plan is to get my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, then finish up all the pre-med classes I need to take a gap year, and then apply to med school after that. So.
And now, when you finish and get your, there's another part to the question, but when you get your bachelor's, can you like go to med school wherever you want, or like
No,
how does that work?
So the way it works.
We have to start over.
No, so there's no like, you don't have to do like a pre-med major or anything like that. Like there's no degree that you get in an undergrad that then puts you into med school. The way it works is my mechanical engineering is unrelated to med school altogether. So after deciding that I want to go to med school, I have to now satisfy all of the pre-med requirements class-wise. So like all med schools require you to take, however many semesters of chemistry, however many semesters of bio, labs, organic chemistry, biochemistry. There are a certain number of classes that all med schools have as prerequisites. So I'll be finishing all of those throughout my senior year, along with the mechanical engineering classes I need to take. And then what determines, where you get into med school, you also have to take your MCATs, which is like the SAT for med school. So you graduate, you do your undergrad, you take your MCATs, you shadow doctors, you do volunteer work, research, whatever you need to do, and then you apply to med schools the same way or a similar way you did to when you applied to colleges when you were in high school. And they look at your MCAT scores, they look at your GPA, they look at where you've done research, they look at how many hours you've shadowed, and then you get interviews person to person, the same way that you would in applying to the top colleges when you were in high school, and they try to see what kind of person are you, why do you want to be a doctor, because there are probably a lot of people who want to be doctors who do really well in school but either don't have what it takes to be a physician, or maybe the med schools don't see legitimate or genuine qualities in people of why they want to be doctors. So it's a really long process. It's going to be stressful. But that's the plan going forward. I just have ground to cover when it comes to applying to med school now, because I decided late. And then the second part of your question was how training revolves around that. So
it doesn't seem like from the coach's end, I don't feel like you never tell me like, Joey, can I train only 4 days because I got to do this and this and this? You just like
you make it 7 if it made sense, dude. Like if I recover,
make it happen, motherfuckers.
If I beat the block and like my recovery was just so good I needed to train 7 days, I trained 7 days. But anyway, it goes back to like when I was when I was younger. Honestly, I've just always loved sports way more than I've loved academics. When I was in high school, I did really well in high school, but baseball season would come around and my GPA would dip a little bit because I was focusing on baseball. With school, obviously, it's more demanding here. I'm trying to do, my best, but I do, you send me my spreadsheet, I have to do whatever I need to do every day, and I plan my time around that. I have to take classes. I obviously have to study for exams. So there are definitely nights that are more stressful than they would be if I weren't competing.
I wanted to say, all right, so for those that don't know, I go to bed at like 3 in LA time, and I wake up at like 11. I have woken up at 12 before. Not sure if I'm not really proud of it, but I feel like shit when I wake up that late. Sometimes I randomly wake up at 9:30 and I'm good to go, like if it's after a rest day or something, which is odd, but there was this one day, I don't remember what it was. There was one when you were on the train. But you texted me some shit. It was like something hilarious, but I was just going to bed. I think it was like 3:30 and you were up. It was recent. And I was like, fuck, I want to respond, but like, I don't think he knows that I'm awake. And like, if he responds back, I'll be asleep. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it in the morning. But it was like, I was going to bed at 3:30 and you were up. For those that don't know, I'm in Los Angeles. You are in, where are the two locations that you're at? Either
Boston or New York. It's always one of the two.
Yeah, so 3 hours ahead. Even trying to schedule this podcast, I was fucking tripping out. He said 10, and I'm thinking, oh, that's 1. You know what I mean? But it's the other way around. My brain does not always work. I live off Tope.
Your brain's on the third dimension right now.
My brain only works like when I put work aside and I know when it's work, that's when my brain's working. Other than that, it's like constantly answering messages. You know, I ask the same questions 30,000 times. Yeah, memes, fucking memes, dude. Dude, honestly, memes like they help balance everything out. It's not just memes, but memes are just like, you know, a comic relief that can take you out of, like, if I'm programming for, you know, fucking 10 hours in a day, and like there's a little brief like entertainment in there. That's good.
Yeah.
It helps the time go by. I don't know how you feel about it, but this last year has gone by super quick.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know, I don't know if it's almost like when you're prepping those last 10 days for me, they go by kind of slow because I'm ready. Like, I know I've gotten so much stronger and I'm ready to just do it. And I'm just like, come on, like, hurry up and get here, meat. I want to do this shit already. But, you know, the rest of the year, it's like I'm working, you're trying to stay busy, you're in school, you got all this stuff going on. And the year has gone by so quick. I remember last year at Worlds to this year, after this Worlds, like, my life is so different. You know, we're just growing at a very, very rapid rate. Even you know,
dying at an alarming rate. It's crazy.
Bees are dying at an alarming rate. It's fucking 112 here in California, which makes no sense. You know, the last refuge. Yeah, today was like, Tina gets out of work. She's like, oh, it's 112 degrees. But you know, just a lot of good stuff going on. I wanted to say, so for where can people find you? Do you do any coaching? By the way, I know like the answers to every single question I'm asking him, but I'm just, you know, doing it for you guys. So where can people find you? Do you do any coaching yourself? And do you have any lifters competing at Raw Nationals that you're going to be handling or that you're excited to see compete?
Oh yeah. All right, we got a list to go. So you can find me on Instagram at KissMyArch.
Yeah.
If you want to see
That should be down below.
Yes, if you want to see some triggering bench arches and in-face bulges, that's where you should go.
Second one, definitely.
Facebook, if you want to see a bunch of triggering arguments with people. Just Sean Noriega.
And like really like some nihilist humor and like some fucking like self-loathing, like, oh god, I got a 98 on my fucking test, I'm gonna kill myself.
I mean, yeah, it just, I don't know. Keeps it.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Take the highs too highs. This is a quote from my high school baseball coach. And in baseball, you fail most of the time. Like, baseball players fucking hate themselves like 80% of the time.
Yeah, so I was getting fights.
You're shit. Like 70 to 80% of the time. High school baseball coach is the winningest coach in Long Island. Has over 500 career wins. Don't take the highs too high or the lows too low. That's why. You know, we were just talking about Worlds and the outcome. Realistically, if I'd won, I probably would have reveled.
No, you would have been like, yeah.
Minutes, like, you know what, fuck it. You know, it's juniors. I want to beat John Hack or some shit. Like, I'm always looking for the next thing.
I was gonna say.
Been self-loathing regardless.
No.
So just ready to get back to work.
You would have been like, oh man, like, yeah, I know I won Worlds, but you know, I could have had more of my squad. I fucked up on this. I fucked up on that. Like, oh man, I got to get ready for nationals.
The outcome doesn't matter. I don't compete to, you know, I'm not competing just to win the gold medal. Like, I'm gonna keep going every time something happens. Whether the outcome is win or lose, you know, the next thing in the like the tree is just keep going. I win, I keep going. I lose, I keep going.
I wanted to bring up
a little bit more fired up since I lost, but like,
oh shit.
I was gonna train the same, you know, just as hard if I lost or won.
I'm not
gonna rob Gronkowski after I win the fucking world.
I'm probably gonna have to cut that out because that's just probably loud. But I wanted to bring up a quote. It's not a quote. It's just something that Lane talked about in one of his videos when he used to sit down in front of the camera and just talk. Lane, I know you're not gonna hear this, but if you do, like, do those again because it was good. It hit me, fucking hit me. But he used to say, he said, he, like, getting his PhD was the hardest thing he ever did. Right? We're just gonna take that statement for what he's saying. He worked really hard to achieve something, but he enjoyed it for like a week or two, and then he was like, all right, on to the next thing. You know what I mean? It's like you work years to graduate, to do this, to do that, and then, you know, it's like, all right, are you gonna just quit now? Like, all right, I'm done. You know, some people do. Some people do. Dan Bilzerian wins $20 million. He quits life. He, get bitches, money, all that shit, and you're good.
Yeah.
But unless you win a $20 million and you can do that, you always want to move on to the next thing. We always want to keep moving forward. I guess shout out to A7. I'm gonna say that A7, you grew on me in the beginning. I was like, what is this company giving out all these promo codes? Like literally everyone and their mother has a promo code. But they grew on me. I got to meet the owner. He's really cool, and they're doing cool shit. They're doing a lot of great collabs, and their motto, which I'm about to fuck up right now, is never stop the progress, I believe. Which is right now, look that shit up. But what's this dude's name? Jamie. Look that shit up, Jamie. But I agree. You want to keep moving forward, and just don't. You can't get complacent. If you win, and unless you're gonna stop, like if you win and you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna chill now, then you're gonna get beat. Like it's just how it is. Someone's gonna come up and smack you in the mouth. You always got to have something to chase after, and just keep, even if it's just beating yourself.
I think that's a really good point. What you just said and what you were saying before about Lane. I think that there has to be something else in you besides just being goal oriented. Like people will always throw around like. It just sounds funny to me because like going through like the college application process and med school, grad school, whatever. I'm around all these people all the time because I hang out with fucking nerds, and people
I'm a nerd.
use the term, I'm goal oriented or whatever, and I'm like, you can be, if you're goal oriented, you're probably not going to be very happy in life because you're gonna work and work and work because you want to achieve this goal, and then you get there and you're happy for 2 seconds. And then you're gonna go on to the next thing. And if you think in your head that the basis for your happiness is the goal that you achieve, then you're probably gonna be pretty miserable. Like you have to find happiness in like embracing the grind and like embracing the suck, because like you're gonna achieve something and want to move on to the next. And if you're miserable because now that goal is so far away, you're just not gonna be a happy person. Like one of the people who I look at who always expresses this ideal. I know you want to talk. Go
ahead.
Like Charlie Dixon makes a lot of paragraph-long Instagram posts, but he made one the other.
Shredded as fuck.
He's the leanest guy in the IPF.
Dude, he is the biggest 83. He's Charlie, if you hear this, I think you are literally a freak and could walk on stage right now, but I don't want to see you get hurt trying to make 83s. I don't want you getting dehydrated. I think if you just committed to 93, you would fucking just that's it. Just that's it. Yeah. That's what you would do. That's it.
But he made a good post the other day. He was it was like 4 sets of 6 with like 440 pounds on squat, which for those of you who know Charlie is nowhere near his max. And he had just done a meet, just for fun. I think he was just trying to get good meet experience. It made the point where, it's like a pendulum, and he pushed the ball up the hill, and now it's come back down.
No, he says the stone or some shit. Like
Push the stone up the hill, and now it's come to the bottom, and you have to embrace and relish the time that you spend pushing that stone back up the hill. Because if you're only happy when you're pushing the stone up the hill, then the stone's only on the hill for a very short period.
Oh yeah, that shit's gonna roll back down.
Being on a peak is a very unstable position. When you come back down to that valley, that's where you want to stay. So.
There are a lot of things that came to mind during this whole thing. One of them was when you were talking about traveling, and how I think people that just travel can almost be like they're not happy with, like you said, the grind, just love embracing the suck, so they want to get away. They literally want to get away. They want to go somewhere else to just like forget about their shit life. But yeah, man, you have to. You have never complained to me about like fucking anything, really. You just do what you're supposed to do. You find a way to get it in, and I think there were days in there. I know Tina does this. She'll like work, bench, and then go back to work, and then get off and squat. Like that's the time that she has. So and then train a client after. Like that's what she has to do. So you just gotta grind, man, and you're gonna find out really quick if this is something that you want to be doing or not, because there's gonna be a motherfucker like Sean who's gonna show up and like you're just gonna get left behind because you weren't able to make it happen. And it's one of the cool things about powerlifting, man. You get to see what people are really fucking made of, brother. Nah, powerlifters aren't tough, honestly. We're just
They're not going to die on the platform, brother.
No. But I think there are a lot of really good points here. Aside from the goofing around, but I wanted to say, so we got your Instagram, Kiss My Arch.
Yep.
Do you have any lifters? Nationals that you're looking forward to seeing of your own that you're working with, or?
Oh, absolutely. So, obviously, first is coaching Daniela Mello. This will be her second Raw Nationals. This will mark her first full year of competing in powerlifting, which is absurd. And she'll be competing in the Open. She'll be competing for that open spot against Sabrina Davis, I believe, will be her competition. There are a couple women in there. Natalie Hansen, Sabrina Davis. What's her name's escaping me at the moment, but there are a couple of them who are right up there with her. But given how young she is, how she's progressing, I'm just looking forward to seeing her, push her bench and her squat even further. She's recently switched to sumo, and I've convinced her to be one of the few girls who pulls hook grip, so it's looking really smooth.
Keep that bar close, and she's mini.
Wouldn't be surprised if she pulled, 500 pounds. So really excited to watch her, obviously.
What did she pull at Worlds?
She pulled 458 at Worlds.
She pulled 455 like today at a 2. Nah, it was like a 6.
Nah, it was rough, but she's pulled heavier conventional at a much faster speed, and given that we're just starting sumo, should be good. Looking forward to watching Mason Cabney. He's my other teen who is like a god compared to Opens as well. Mason, we recently figured out that the arch makes him bench less. I know, it's crazy. Bench press arch actually made him a worse bencher. So we recently reduced his arch and hit his previous double PR for 5, which was dope.
Sick.
His squat, he had squatted 585 at RP9 in training at a body weight of 74 kilos. So I am looking to see him push the American record, potentially take it from Taylor Atwood. That would be pretty dope. And send him to
the god himself
next year. Yep. So the plan is to send him to Worlds, send Daniela to Worlds. And my not so well known up and comer, we've got Matthew Aramoni, he's a young boy. He's also another teen. He had been a 66 kilo lifter, and we made the bold decision to come down 59 kilos. He has not lost any of his squat strength, squatting, into the low 4s, benching, closing in on 300 pounds on bench, and then his deadlift is what separates him from the rest. Has absolutely outstanding leverages for deadlift. He recently pulled 560 pounds at a body weight of 130 in training. I'm on a stiff bar, and
this is the guy that we talked about, right? You're not going to be there. So
I'm probably not going to be there, so I'll need probably pop a Flexx to handle
59 prime times. I'm there, man. I'm there.
Yeah, man. So Matt, assuming all goes well, his training's been going great. He's making progress literally week to week. If all goes well, he might have a shot at the 59 kilo open spot for Worlds, which would be pretty sweet. He can go up.
Yeah, man. Oh my God. Come on, we know what's gonna happen.
We know what's gonna happen, but given how young he is, we might get to see a new gold medalist in deadlift. You never know.
Fucking that guy, man. The topic for another podcast, but the dude was souped up on Russian sports supplements and then came off, and then he's good to go now and he's killing everyone. So I don't. I honestly I want to look more into that. I want to find out if you juice up and you come off, can you maintain anything? Like, do you keep anything?
To find a study.
Who? Yeah, dude. I should honestly. The next time I see Ben, I'm gonna ask him. But then
It'd be interesting to find.
Because then wouldn't every like drug-free guy do that?
Not even just that. It'd be interesting to see the data on that. To maybe that would, if we were presented with convincing data to say that you maybe hold on to something, then maybe the IPF might revise their rules on drug busts.
Yeah, and make it one and done or something.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the people, we've seen Fedoshenko, we see these new Kazakhstani guys who are coming back out of nowhere. These guys who were busted multiple years ago come back and are taking top spots. So maybe
is it a coincidence?
Maybe they're off stuff and they're still holding on to some sort of strength or muscles they had gained when they were on. We don't have the data, but maybe it is somewhere out there.
Yep. So Raw Nationals, we're like, what, 13 weeks out? 14 weeks out?
I think 14, yeah. 14 weeks out.
It's going to be good. Really, really excited for that. That's like, I work more than I ever do ever during that week.
Oh, yeah.
Both physically and mentally, but it's like an overload of emotion and just good fucking shit. And
I love that week.
yeah, man, I'm gonna be there for 10 days, so I don't book these things. Tina just like, all right, we're gonna be there 10 days. I'm like, all right, whatever. And just tell me how much, and I'll get to hopefully see everyone. So that was the first episode, guys. Thank you guys. If you made it this far, in the comments below, what are we gonna have them say? Hashtag.
The comments below.
Yeah, if they made it this far. What are we gonna say? Just say, kiss my arch. Just say, kiss my arch. That's all you gotta do. Hashtag kiss my arch if you made it this far. All of Sean's info is gonna be in the description down below. You guys have been bugging me to make at InfoWars to make start podcasting, and this is the first one. I'm sure as time goes on, this camera is ancient, and we're gonna get a different one. Hopefully my mic doesn't sound too good, and I think if you do come out, are you guys coming out?
There's a good chance that Daniela and I will come to California probably middle of August.
Middle of August is good. So right after your meet? Right before. Right before? Oh shit. Oh. You're not doing a meet. I said too much. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will probably talk to you in the next one, but I'm gonna see you shortly after that with a super secret awesome guest who's already been confirmed. He's really strong, but he's done with powerlifting now. I think you might know who I'm talking about, Sean. He recently broke 2,000, and he's like, you know what? Fuck powerlifting. I'm going to the fucking Olympics. So, can't wait for that episode, and we're just gonna, you guys can suggest people down below, but I have some pretty interesting peeps that I want to have on here, assuming we don't have any technical difficulties. But, alrighty guys, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
Yep, thank you, Joey.